All right, the Wish Tournament. I am going to try and do deck reviews for all top 16. I'm going to be honest, I'm probably the least prepared for these deck reviews that I've ever been for deck reviews that I've done in the past. I have taken like a few minutes on each deck and just looked at it, but I can't say that I normally, whenever I do deck list reviews, I take a good 15 minutes per list, and I really try and consider what were they trying to do here, and because it takes a while of looking at a list to understand not what they were running but what they decided not to run, because every time you're making a deck, especially now that we have thousands of cards to choose from, the more fascinating part is typically not what's in the deck but what the person actually decided to leave out of the deck. Might be missing a little bit of that kind of analysis today, because that typically does take looking at it for a longer time and then looking at other decks with the character and seeing what other people typically run and then comparing it to the pilot and what they decided to run instead. But for the weekend as a whole, this was your final graph. We had 9 younger Toguros in top 16. We had 5 Byakos in top 16, 1 Elder, and 1 Jin. And that was it. That was it. Only 4 different characters represented, and 2 characters represented way more, and Younger Toguro represented by far the most. Younger made up over 40% of the field at large. That's crazy. We have not seen representation like that in tournament. I want to say since Ojiro 2 for the Oceania webcam last year. I don't think we ever saw Overhaul, Mirio reach those kind of levels. Maybe there was a tournament, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, where Overhaul saw that kind of representation, but I don't think we ever have. That might be due to the limited format. I'm not sure it's going to change that much next weekend. I think next weekend, Younger probably goes down to 10%, 20%, maybe get cut in half. But 20% of the field with 100 plus characters to choose from is still crazy. 40% of the field here was nuts, and he actually overperformed. 40% of the field, and he overperformed. With 40% of the field, you would expect top cuts to be 7 Youngers, but instead we had 9. With 40% of the field, you would expect top 8 to be 3 Youngers. Instead, it was 7 in top 8. You would expect top 4 to be like 2 Youngers. Instead, it was all 4 of them. So Younger not only saw massive representation, but he actually overperformed his representation. Now, it might have helped that we had some amazing players like Mitchell and Jose play Younger. In fact, I mean, we saw most of the Unfun team play Younger. It's kind of funny. The Unfun team was like the Younger Toguro team. And then there were 5 players from the Let's Talk UVS competitive team that played, and 4 of us were on Byako. So the Let's Talk UVS team made up 1/3 of Byako's total representation. There were 12 Byakos, and 4 of them came from our team. 2 of us ended up making top cuts. TC and Kyle was really proud to see that. Kyle did not expect to make top cuts because he had 1 loss and 2 ties, I think, and then 1 out, and 5, 1, and 2 made it in. You know, everybody was expecting at the beginning that you'd have to be at least 6 and 2, but thanks to ties and people dropping, 5, 1, and 2 ended up making it in. So 2 out of 5 of the team that played made it in. I thought that was pretty good, a 40% conversion ratio, despite none of us being on Younger. We had 4 of us on Byako, and then my brother Patrick was playing Karasu. He went 3 and 3. His last 3 rounds were all against Younger. And in Patrick and I's testing of Younger, whoever won the die roll won. We played like so many games of Younger versus Karasu. It just came down to if Karasu wins the die roll, he's going to get there fast enough with the just extreme aggro output that he has available to him. If Younger wins the die roll, Karasu just typically can't survive to see that turn 3, turn 4 that he needs to see. So Patrick played 3 straight Youngers, rounds 4, 5, and 6, and he lost the die roll in 2, lost those rounds, won the die roll in 1, won that round. And that's kind of what we had expected. I guess to some extent, that's what you expect when you play aggro Karasu. Although he had put in a lot of defense to try and overcome the losing the die roll problem, but didn't work out. So, but we still had 2 Byakko players make it in, 5 Byakko players total, and that was your Wish tournament. Like 9 Youngers, 5 Byakkos watching the Wish tournament. It felt like every single round on stream was Younger, was either Younger versus Younger or Younger versus someone else. Every single round. And then in Top Cuts, it really was every single round. Top 4, the championship was just Younger mirror matches. I got to be honest, that's crazy boring. It was, I had trouble watching the event as someone who loves watching Universus. Sometimes it was just boring to see Younger over and over and over again. And the commentary team did a great job. Jesse, Pippa, Sam, love all 3 of those people. They did a great job trying to make it entertaining for everybody, but it was hard. It was a tough watch, being the Younger Toguro show. We will see if that happens again this weekend. But what is wrong? What is wrong with Younger? Well, we all knew as soon as he was revealed that, hey, this guy has 5-hander health, but he has an incredible ability. He can stack damage with no cap. It doesn't say non-throw. It scales. Like All For One says like maximum 5. Younger's just like, hey, I can get to plus 10 damage on everything. It scales very quickly. By turn 2, you're typically at 3 damage. If you built 5 on turn 1, and then you build down your first attack, you're giving everything 3 damage for free. So it scales quickly. There's no cap on the scaling. It doesn't say non-throw. You ignore progressive. That's something that's always been strong in this game, is ignoring progressive, since you basically play all of your attacks on -1 progressive, since you get to build your first one down. And then the other issue is that, especially with Yu Yu Hakusho, we printed a million death attacks that say draw a card. We got 45% power, we got Battle Aura Release, we got Mop Strike. There's all of these cards that say play it, draw. So there's not even a downside to Younger playing the attack, because he's going to turn that attack into a foundation. He's going to replace itself in his hand. There's no downside. He can play 3 attacks easy and not even feel it, unless he just checks running 3s for 3 straight attacks. There's no reason for Younger not to just throw out 3 straight attacks. And then the last issue is Twisting Azure Inferno. Not a huge issue, but it does feel really bad on turn 2 whenever multiple Twisting Azure Infernos come out and you have a character that turns it on for free. I'm not one of those people that thinks Twisting Azure Inferno needs to be banned. I think maybe it's even a tad overrated. I said that in my Younger Toguro deck profile, that I thought Twisting Azure Inferno might have been the worst attack available to him. But it ended up like Jose's deck, the winning Younger Toguro deck, basically was just, hey, let's slam every single death card that says draw a card, and then 4 Twisting Azure Infernos, and let's see how it goes. And then the character himself, if we could just talk about Younger for a second, is there a more boring character than Younger? He's got some interesting points. You could counterpoint this. You could say, well, he's not keyword locked. There's a lot of different directions you could take Younger. We saw Younger top cut on all 3 of his symbols. Younger's taking different approaches. And we haven't had a character before that really punishes his rival for deadlock and can push his rival into deadlock. So that's an interesting design. The scaling is cool, goes along with his character in the show. And he's open-ended. So there's some cool things. But let's just talk about like his face. There's it's free damage. You just press the button, free damage, um, and then you build something down. Like there's no choices happening here. I was talking about this in another Discord. Like the community loves to dogpile on Mirio and say that Mirio is this super basic character, takes absolutely no brain power. Well, let's think about Mirio versus Younger. Mirio changes the zone, and so there's at least some brain power there. Am I going to call a high? Am I going to call a low? 90% of the time it's low, but the times that you change to mid or high are game definers. On defense, which attack am I going to zero out? Is this the one? Is my rival just poking? Should I just zero out the poke? Or do I need to hold on to the zero out until there's some dunk later? Do I need to say pass right now, or do I need to zero it out right now? Because if I say pass, what if my rival just says pass? Little things like that. There's at least decisions being made from the character. With Younger, there's no decisions. There is literally zero decisions. Maybe you could say, when do I build my attack down as a decision? But that's very, very basic. So that's my problem with Younger, is that on his face, there's very little decisions. Deck building wise, yes, you do get, you can take him different directions, which is interesting. You can push your rival into deadlock, but most of the pushing the rival into deadlock isn't happening from Younger's face. It's happening from his rare attack, 80% power. And you could do that strategy in other characters too, where you play 80% power to do that. So Younger does contribute a little bit, where if you had an 80% power and Younger, then they have to play at 8 foundations instead of just playing at 9 foundations. So he does it a little more efficiently. But most of that pushing his rival into deadlock happens from the attack and not necessarily from his face. So that's my issue with Younger. We have twisting it. We have this character that has 5 hand size health, very strong ability, scales with no cap, not a lot of thinking going on, playing the character. And then we printed a million death attacks that say draw a card and replace themselves. So there's no cost to just playing those. And then we have Twisting Azure Inferno. So of the 3 things, take your pick on what the problem is. Right? Is it that we just have too many cantrips, especially on the death symbol? Is it Twisting Azure Inferno, or is it Younger? I don't know the answer. Take your pick. I imagine something might be done about it in the ban list this coming month. And I understand people will say, well, this was just a limited format, so it's not indicative of standard. And that's what we're going to put to the test. We're going to put it to the test. Now, a lot of players might just not play Younger because they don't want to anymore, because we just had this tournament where it was the Younger show. And so a lot of players might just pivot off of them. Like I highly doubt Jose is just back playing Younger, or Mitchell is just back playing Younger. Like we had the whole unfun, the unfun team basically was on Younger. I don't know if that's going to happen again. A lot of them probably pivot. It might have just been very tournament specific. So if nobody's playing Younger, then maybe nothing happens in the ban list that comes out in March. Personally, I think they'll probably just ban Twisting Azure to make everybody happy, and then I think they'll errata Younger. The way I would errata Younger is I would say make it +1 damage for every 3 foundations. You keep the same scaling aspect of the character, but you take away a little bit of the turn 2 and turn 3 aggro output. And it just happens by accident. Younger typically wants to build up this stage, and he strikes me as this character that wants, design-wise, he wants to punish his rival for deadlock, and he wants to build up his stage. So he strikes me as a character that's more like mid-range than necessarily turn 2 aggro. I don't think he was meant to be a turn 2 aggro character. But that's just kind of what happens when he can say add 3 damage on Twisting Azure Inferno on turn 2. If you say +1 damage for every 3 foundations, you're no longer turning Twisting Azure Inferno on turn 2. And that takes away a little bit of those turn 2 feel bad kills and makes him into more of this mid-range character that I think he was designed to actually be. I don't think he was designed to be getting turn 2 kills. So that's my take on Younger. That's what I would change. I would say +1 damage for every 3. I wouldn't just put a cap on it. because the problem is that the every two foundations scales way too quickly. And then it's like changing the fundamental design of the character, where he's supposed to feel like he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which I can't remember a lot of the Dark Tournament arc. I watched Yu Yu Hakusho a long time ago, but I kind of remember that's what happened, right? He's like, okay, this is 45% of my power. This is 60% of my power. This is 100%, and then this is my true 100%, and then he starts like so young he starts like eating. I can't remember, but he just gets bigger and bigger and bigger in the show, and that's how the character is supposed to feel. And so I don't want to change that about his design, but I do think every three would be a lot more fair. That's my take on Younger. I think they will errata him, and then I think they'll ban Twisting Azure Inferno just to make everyone happy. Kind of like Back Alley Haymaker. Like Back Alley Haymaker didn't need to be banned when it was actually banned. It could have been banned. The Back Alley Haymaker ban was 1 year too late and 2 months too early. Like they need to bring back Back Alley Haymaker, in my opinion. It would be very healthy if it came back into the meta today. The problem was that it was building release and tight-lipped, and these other broken zero difficulty foundations. It wouldn't be bad today. Oh, hey, it's the Younger Toguro tournament, and other players will keep playing Younger if he keeps putting out results. Yeah, like I have a Younger deck sleeved up. Let's see. I sleeved up my Younger deck for this next weekend. There's a good chance I play it. I'm leaning Mirio or Recovery Girl. But if I'm testing over the week and they're just not feeling great, I am going Younger because he feels like a sure thing. Younger also, here's the other thing about the character. So it's that he has answers to everything. If you're playing a lot of actions, he can side in Koan Mistask and cancel them. If you have a very strong defensive character that can defend against his aggro output, he'll side in his 2-check and say, I commit your character. If you have some like resets on stage, he'll put in 80% power, point and click, destroy those resets. He just gets all of these answers that they gave him. So, this is 2 sets in a row where they gave us a crazy 6-hand size aggro character, Ryukyu and Younger, where both of them get an ultra rare that says commit your rival's character. Both of them get a 2-check ultra rare that just says, hey, we're very aggressive and let's just get rid of their main point of defense. At least the Younger 2-check isn't character specific though. But that is my take on the tournament. My other take is that we have to stop letting Jose win webcam events. 2 things about that. One, I don't think it's a good look for the format when one person wins every webcam event. This is now, let's see, this is just from my memory since I've been playing. Jose has won 2022 Nationals, right? Webcam Nationals on Chaos Tokoyami. He won the Season 1 webcam event last year on Gamer Toga. Won the Season 2 webcam event last year on Death Eraserhead. Both Death Eraserhead and Gamer Toga and Chaos Tokoyami. They're all aggressive 7-handers. Won the December webcam event with Ryukyu over my brother, who got 2nd place on Mirio. The Winter Clash, the event that I hosted, he won with Jiro 2, a defensive 7-hander. And then he didn't play January webcam event. And then this webcam event wins on Younger. So in my mind, that is 6. Okay, he topped Oceania, but didn't win, right? He topped with Death Shigaraki 3. I want to say he did. I can't quite remember the Oceania webcam event too much. That was the Ojiro 2 show. And I think Jose topped with Shigaraki, but I don't think he won. So that is now, of the last 7 webcam events that Jose's played in, these are 100 plus player fields. He has won 6 of them. And competitively speaking, that ticks me off. I'm going to be honest. As a competitor, that just makes me mad. It's like, you win 1 webcam event, it's like, congratulations, that's awesome. These are really, really hard to take down. You win 2 in a row, and it's like, holy cow, that's incredible. You win 3 in a row. It's like, oh my gosh, you're like legend status. Um, the odds of that are so astronomically low. You win like 6 in a row, like Jose's on right now, this incredible streak, and it's like WTF, guys. Uh, who's gonna stop this? It's like, come on, guys, this is kind of embarrassing for the field here. Um, it's like he's just levitating over the rest of us, you know? Like, I don't know. That just makes me upset as a competitor. Um, the thing that would be the most tilting for me is if Jose just decided not to play the webcam event this next weekend. That would be so tilting because it would be like, if you win the webcam event and Jose didn't play, did you really win? You can't say you really won. Um, so that would be really tilting if Jose just said, "Nah, I'm not. I'm going to take a week off." Um, Man, because then even if I actually took the event down, it wouldn't even feel like it because you've got to go to be the best. You've got to go through the best and prove yourself. So for me, very, very tilting that Jose is on this streak. It's like, are we just gonna let this happen, or is somebody gonna do something about this? Is somebody else gonna finally win one of these events? By the way, I love Jose personally. When I first started traveling to events, he always would come up and talk with me. We played at 2022 Nationals when I had been playing for a few months. He was my win-in match to get into the top 32 for Nationals and be guaranteed a spot. And he absolutely trounced me. He was on Kamui Woods, and um, I was on Nomu, and he was very, very patient with me because I was a new player. I was very nervous because I knew that if I won this match, I was in top cuts. And he was very patient as I made misplay after misplay and let me have things back. Just very, very nice. We played at the season 2 webcam event last year, and he beat me. And then we played at top 16 at Nationals, and I finally got to win one. And anyway, always very, very nice, very kind, absolute blast to play. But man, does it kind of tick me off that he's won 6 straight webcam events. Just competitively speaking, just who is going to do something about this? It just feels like if Jose enters the webcam event, Jose will win the webcam event. Period. End of story. Like his only loss, actually, if you go back and look at Swiss, I think Jose's only loss in Swiss was actually to Mitchell. But then he got revenge in the finals and took Mitchell down. So there was a point in Jose's run where he played Mitchell, and then the next round he played Tam. So 2 of his teammates back to back with 2 younger mirrors. I think Tam took game 1 of their best of 3, and then Jose took games 2 and 3, if I remember right, when I was watching the stream. Check 2 Gaming. Hey, my name's up there. Which one? I do not know people's username to 2 names. And if you're in the chat when I'm doing these deck list reviews, maybe you can help me. Because like I said at the beginning, I am probably the least prepared for deck reviews that I've ever been. But I also feel the most prepared because how different are the Death Youngers really? Like one attack different. Most of them are just playing all the death cantrips, slam, Twisting Azure Inferno on top, call it a day. Here, Omar. Yeah, you got 3rd place. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Let's go. Where is it? Here we go. By the way, if you're on UVS Ultra and you just go to this tournament decks chat tab, oh, you guys can't see it on my live screen, but you can go and see all of the top deck lists, top cut deck lists for like the last 2 years. Very, very neat. UVS Ultra, go to the tournament decks tab, and you can see all top cut deck lists for the last 2 years. So here we have our top 16. Like I said, younger Toguro was 40% of the field and somehow still overperformed. He was 7 of 8 characters in top 8, 9 of top 16, so he still overperformed even for seeing this massive representation. That's what to me tells me that there's a problem with the character, even in a limited format. When you see first younger, second younger, third younger, fourth younger, fifth younger, sixth younger, seventh younger, that's a problem. And it's not like there's characters that can't beat younger in Yu Yu Hakusho. This is not just like a limited format problem. Like Jin is actually set up pretty well against younger. He can cancel one of the draws. He's younger is not adding speed. Jin can block for days. Um, Elder Toguro can put younger in a spin cycle, by swapping everything. Um, and having access to tons and tons of speed hate, yeah, and then just saying swap it. So Elder can be good in the matchup. Jin can be good in the matchup. It's not that there weren't answers. It's just that Younger tends to overcome the answers because he can play all of his attacks that he draws with no downside. All of his attacks replace themselves in your hand, so you still have cards in hand to block with. All his first attack builds down, so and then he gets like Twisting Azure Inferno. So he's not playing on progressive difficulty. There's no downside to just throwing out his hand. They're all just going to replace themselves. They're all ignoring progressive. So that's the thing. He just keeps on coming at you every single turn. Eventually, he's going to catch you with your pants down. Yeah, Universus. Elder is great against younger until he's turned sideways. Exactly. There's a lot of characters like that. He sides the 2 check in and you're just dead. That's been an issue with like one of the main things that's worrying me about Recovery Girl for this next weekend is that younger just sides in the 2 check and says Recovery Girl turns sideways, and then I don't know how Recovery Girl lives through his attack string. It's thinking about it a little bit with Mirio too, but younger has to push you to 10 foundations to really get that off. And most of the time with Mirio, I can be very, very comfortable playing the game at 8 foundations. I don't feel the need to build to where that can actually commit Mirio down. So I'm okay about it in that matchup. Although if I do build to 10 and he turns Mirio sideways, that would be disaster too. But yeah, younger just gets a lot of answers to the rest of the field. And that is how we end up with this, like a top 8, one of these things is not like the other. Well, let's jump straight into it. I've just talked and talked and talked and talked. It is 6:30 now. Let's jump in. Jose Narono, you're a champion. If we look at the attack lineup, you'll see what I'm saying. Vile Seizing 4x replaces itself if they fail to check. Mop Strike 4x replaces itself. Also tears your rival's hand apart. And maybe they get rid of their high block because you'll notice that these Death Younger decks are running almost mono high attack lineups. Battle Aura Release replaces itself. Trace Eyes gets to play itself again. 45% replaces itself. We're just playing every cantrip. We're throwing on top 4 Twisting Azure Infernos. Sometimes you draw a few of these on turn 2. Jose played my teammate Kyle in round 1 of Top Cuts, and Kyle told me that Jose just pulled 3 Twisting Azure Infernos on turn 2 and mowed them down, and then did it again in game 2. Twisting Azure Inferno, if Younger finds it on game 2, can just be game over. It's not doing much other than ignoring progressive and making your rival's checks worse. I don't think as the game goes longer, I think this gets worse, but if you find lots of them on turn 2, it's definitely just going to kill you. And then we're slamming every attack that draws something, replaces itself, so that there's no downside to us just throwing out these attacks. Then we got 1 True 100% and 1 Jaw Jammer. Both of those kind of speak for themselves. What I thought was very cool about Jose's deck, the coolest, like when I'm looking at it, I've got a few different takeaways here. But the coolest thing that he's doing, in my opinion, is this showdown with Genkai's training combo. Daniel says, I lost to round 1, Jose round 1. No. I was talking about Top Cuts. Top 16. The coolest thing that Jose is doing in this deck, in my opinion, is Showdown with Genkai's Training. You can commit Genkai's Training and say that it's going to have a 0 block modifier, and then you block with a 0 high block Showdown. That is a very cool combo, something I never saw on Death Younger and just never even considered. Um, Really, really cool. And then you can also, this is a momentum outlet, right? In my deck for Younger, I was playing like, um, I can never remember it. Refreshing Slice, um, Blood Evaluation, and Piercing Needle as momentum outs. But here, his main Jose's main momentum out is simply Genkai's Training because you can re-ready it, and that's a problem with a lot of Death Younger lists. Is some of them just have 0 momentum outs. So Jose is not only setting himself up for this Showdown combo, but he's also giving himself a momentum outlet to re-ready something. Very, very neat decision here. The other thing I see is that we are playing a ton of 0 diffs, even if they're terrible. Like Foresight, in my opinion, is pretty terrible, but we're 4Xing it. A big reason might simply be that there's not a lot of low blocks, and so bringing in Foresight helps the low block ratio. A lot of the Death Youngers have a very, very low number of low blocks, so Foresight helps out there a little bit. But a lot of spam foundations to guarantee early builds. If you go and watch a lot of Jose's Top Cut matches, he's building 5 on turn 1 pretty consistently. Building 5 on turn 1 means that if you play 1 attack on turn 2, Twisting Azure Inferno is online. So the build 5 seemed to be really, really important to Jose, and because of that, we've got all of these 0 difficulty foundations, which makes sense. When we think about the 2 difficulty foundations, we have Always Cool, Immortal Shapeshifter, Keiko's Aid, and Desperate Struggle. Keiko's Aid and Desperate Struggle makes sense. Your character is doing all the work, and Always Cool. Your character is doing all the work offensively, so your foundations can focus a little bit more on defense, and these are going to be the resets that you need, or the breaker that you need. You combine like a Keiko's Aid with a Showdown block, and you have just ended their turn. And all Younger needs to see is that one more turn. Immortal Shapeshifter is really interesting here. You see most of the Younger lists opt for Weapon Clash for their other 2 diff. The reason for Weapon Clash is that if you flip it and build in something, maybe that even helps your damage output. With Immortal Shapeshifter, you're destroying something for +1 damage, but that's also hurting the damage output of your character. So it's like +1 damage, +1 damage, but now everything in the future gets -1 damage because I don't get to use Younger as much. You do get to check a 5 to gain a health. Jose always loved, like in his Death Eraserhead list, always loved playing Brute Strength, and Immortal Shapeshifter is like our new, slightly toned down version of Brute Strength. So not surprising to see Jose running it, but you'll see that it is a difference compared to the other Younger decks. The other Younger decks are playing more Weapon Clash instead of Immortal Shapeshifter. So I would love to hear a little bit more about that and that choice. On the side deck, I was expecting to see the 2-check or like 80% power, these answers, but we don't see any of those. We see Fashion Icon, which Jose was using against Biakos. They would play that like 0 gravity rush, make it a 25 high for 25, and then Fashion Icon says, I'll change this attack speed to 0 because that's the printed speed of the attack. So you flip Fashion Icon, you take it to 0, you block with Showdown, and you say thank you very much for playing 0 gravity rush, because that was the main kill card of a lot of these Biako lists. So that makes sense to have Fashion Icon in the side. Seal of Approval. We have a lot of people playing Mop Strike and things that are forcing you to discard, and this has this response: after this card is discarded due to a rival effect, draw 2 cards. I assume that was a big reason why this was coming in. Or destroy after rival plays an ability on a non-character card, seal all copies of that card in their stage. Yeah, that's pretty solid, but I imagine a lot of that was just because there was so much hand ripping going on between Botan's coaching and Mop Strike that it makes sense. And then we get some Forcing Surrenders, I guess if the card pool is getting clogged, and a Sports Festival champ. So there you have it. That is Jose's list. I think the coolest thing that we've got going on here is the Genkai's Training and Showdown combo. I don't think I saw a lot of other players on that combo. Let's go back. All right, let's jump into Mitchell's list. Attack lineup. Immortal gives you more utility with all the mostly blank 0 diffs. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, number 2, we have Mitchell on Death Younger again. And once again, we're playing all the attacks that replace themselves. We have Vials using Mob Strike, Battle Aura, 45% power. Mitchell is going 4x on 45% power. He's not putting in Jaw Jammer and the 1 copy of True 100% Unleashed like Jose. 2 copies of Trace Eyes, 3 copies of Twisting Azure Inferno instead of 4. As far as I can tell, those are the only changes. Mitchell's list is leaning even more into let's just play all of the cantrips. Everything that replaces itself. We do not have Showdown. We are running Genkai's Guidance. I feel like most younger lists at least have to run 2 Genkai's Guidance. It feels kind of mandatory. We have Invincible Body. This saw a lot of play this weekend. First Enhance Remove reduces attack's damage to 0, so you can just pass. And then either your rival plays around this, which is good for you, because then they can pass early before they've given it all of their damage. And then you still get to have it on your stage for future attacks. So if your rival plays around this, it can help you. Or you just get to 0 something out. We see the Keiko's Aid, the always cool. Instead of Immortal Shapeshifter, we've got Weapon Clash. Again, Weapon Clash, that flip enhance can be big for younger. If you had 9 foundations, now you have 10. Now everything's getting plus 5 damage. So that flip enhance can sometimes be like 5 damage over the course of a turn. Right? If that got you from an odd number to an even number, and then you play like 5 attacks, then it was a big deal. League Invitation is interesting here, something to selectively commit down. So instead of playing like 80% power to get rid of the Troublesome Foundation or Rival stage, we have League Invitation. And then on the 1 diffs, we have this Snack Time and Frightening Calm. I think Jose was playing some Snack Time. He wasn't playing any Frightening Calm. So here we got 6 cards that say Stun. The Struggling with Studies, the Forcing Surrender is in the main board. We don't have any combos that take advantage of the top response, but it's really there just for the bottom enhance. And you can use that with like Trace Eyes. Trace Eyes flips over after the Echo, Forcing Surrender, get it out of there. Botan's Coaching Syndicate, Target, and Surviving the Final. So the 2 low blocks that Jose was playing, by the way, were Foresight and then the Kirishima one that says flip for 2 damage. Those were very, very specific to Jose. I don't think anybody else was really playing those. Maybe there was some Foresight, but over here, this Settling Old Debts, you have to run this at a 4x. It's just even more draw on this character. And yeah, that is Mitchell's list. Let's see. I'm going to go pretty fast through these youngers. I took out my top area of my screen so that it fits into my stream a little bit better, but it resulted in me not being able to see the back button. That is why I'm taking this long route. All right, 3rd place, we have Omar, and here we have Mob Strike, Vial Seizing, Battle Aura Release, 45% power Trace Eyes with Twisting Azure Inferno. The one difference from Omar's list to the other list is that we are mainboarding 2 80% power to selectively destroy a rival foundation, also can force them into deadlock, and then follow up with the Vial Seizing. I love this attack. I think all youngers should be playing it personally. But the top 2 youngers weren't, so what do I know? But I love it being mainboarded. We got Showdowns instead of Genkai's Training. And then over here, is there any... We do have Dangerous Combatant, just more ways to draw. We don't have any way to really fuel this beyond Snack Time. Oh, Snack Time and Frightening Call. Yeah, to fuel the stun, to get the draw. But sometimes you just... Eventually, it's usable at some point in the game. And at some point in the game, if a 1 diff can flip and draw something, it's worth it. Other than that, we have no Weapons Clash, just Always Cool, Keiko's Aid, and Desperate Struggle. So what I'm seeing here in the top 4 with the younger lists is that they were very, very spam heavy. We don't have a lot of 2 difficulty foundations in any of these 3 lists that we've seen up to this point. Very, very spam heavy. Let's go into our next one. 4th place, Christopher. And this one, is this on evil? No. As soon as I saw the invincible clasp, I just thought it might be on evil. But this is the first younger that we see that is truly different than the others. We have a lot of throws going on here. Nebulous Stare and Invincible Clasp to guarantee the damage. Nebulous Stare can even build down instead of going to momentum. So like I said, a lot of youngers didn't have many momentum outlets. And so Nebulous Stare having the option of I'll build down and I'll help our damage pump on future turns is very, very neat. Invincible Clasp also is another momentum outlet where you can just say discard a momentum and cancel anything basically that your rival's doing enhance-wise on your attack. But then we've got defensive options here in the attack lineup. We have Chronostasis Trigger and Dimensional Sphere. I love Dimensional Sphere personally. It is like a 1 mid-block version of Faith Shield. You just get rid of their attack. It's an Omni block. It's throw hate. And then it's also can draw you cards, which Younger loves to do. It's 1 damage. Younger solves that by adding on all the extra damage. But instead of seeing just all the attacks here that draw, like we're not seeing any Vial Seizing, we don't see any 45% power, we don't see any Battle Aura release. This is an all deck. Oh my gosh. I'm going to start this one over. I was like, okay. It's an all deck. It is not a death deck. I was like, this is so different than the others. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. All right. Christopher with our first all deck Younger. We've got a few throws here. Dimensional Sphere is one of the best things that you get on the all symbol. Throw hate. Just gets rid of their attack. You get access to this Breaker 2. I love Final Smash on all Younger. This is a very, very neat card. You get to force your rival to have 8 or more foundations between Younger's face and 80% power. So once you force them to 8 foundations, then you get to stack your deck, and then you can just draw it with like Settling Old Debts. And so you can draw the attack that you need. Did you need 100% power to commit your rival's character down? Did you need 80% power to blow up something in their stage? Did you need a throw to win the game? You just put whatever attack that you need on top of your deck, and then you're going to draw it with Settling Old Debts. So that is a really, really neat card that all Younger gets access to. Not as heavy draw power as the Death Youngers. It's really just Settling Old Debts in the Foundation lineup. And then in the attack lineup, it is just Dimensional Sphere if it's not blocked, which nobody's going to be blocking Dimensional Sphere. Even in Younger, even when he says 5 mid 5, people are still probably going to be taking that because they know that that's the one that's the best. You know, you're probably not going to be able to block every single Younger attack in an attack string. So it would make sense to not block the one that's a printed 1 damage. Over here, we've got, oh, this is solving the draw problem. Cute Host Kodo. So we don't have near the draw of Death Younger, but if we play this, it's not going to count towards progressive. And at the end of our, at the start of our end phase, we're going to get to draw 3 cards and replace itself. Then we get 4x Invincible Body. We've got a lot of these resets in our stage. Again, our character takes care of the offense, so we can focus on the defense with our foundations. We have Invincible Body, Defending Pageant Queen, always cool, Spooky. So we can, like, Defending Pageant Queen, take its speed to 0, Spooky, make its damage 0. Display of Power works really well in a throw deck when we have access to these 6 different throws. Display of Power, we can just stack another 3 damage on it. And then we see Floating Around to get more damage on the throws. some easily excited and foresight. I imagine the foresight's just to help the low blocks. We got pretty even, 18, 28, 19. And that is going to do it for Christopher's list. The coolest things that I see going on here is this is the first list that's actually leaning into the 80% power and 100% power game plan. And then we get this final smash that our character gets to help force them to 8 foundations to use. And we get Dimensional Sphere, which I think is a very, very meta relevant card right now. Let's go to 5th place. We have Cameron Caldwell on Death Younger, and this one is neat. We have High Key Mirage in this one, and instead of Vial Seizing, we have Piercing Needle, which if you watched my deck profile of my Younger build, I personally like Piercing Needle more than Vial Seizing because it's a 6-speed attack on a character that doesn't add speed. It's a momentum outlet. When we force them into Deadlock, it has this Deadlock Stun 3 that pairs really well with Snack Time and Refreshing Slice and Frightening Calm. So I personally really like Piercing Needle in these Death Younger decks. But this High Key Mirage, we got to talk about this because this is clearly the attack that's just standing out. But we get, if this attack deals damage, draw 1 card and add the top card of your deck to your momentum. So it's forcing a block from our rival, effectively will give all of our future attacks +1 speed. And then we get this response in the card pool. Before your rival makes a check to block an attack, that check gets -3. So we can donate 3 speed to a future attack. And they basically have to block it. They have to block this, your tiniest move. If they don't block it, then you're just getting to replace itself and get a momentum. And the main thing that you're using the momentum on is probably Piercing Needle. But you also get the Refreshing Slice and the Foundation lineup. Other than that, we also have 3 copies of True 100% Unleashed and 3 copies of Aura Slam. This sets up another win-win for Younger. If you block it, I'm going to get to build committed and get to speed up my build even faster. It's also a throw, and so you combine that with Jawjammer, and we have some throw options here, 7 throws in the attack lineup. But we're not playing cards like, we're not playing Vial Seizing, we're not playing 45%, and we are not playing Battle Aura Release. That's the biggest thing that I see here, is that we're not playing Battle Aura Release. Now, it always could just be that Battle Aura Release is a $20 card, and not everybody has a playset so soon after the set dropped. Not every, it's not, no, it wasn't $20 a card. What is Battle Aura Release right now? It's like $30 a card. It's pretty high up there in terms of price. So it could, you never know when you see an expensive card excluded, if it was a choice for the deck itself, or was it a wallet choice that it's missing. Oh yeah, no Mop Strikes either. Yeah, so we have a lot less draw power compared to the other Younger Toguro lists. Really, the only card that's drawing is High Key Mirage. If they don't block it. So yeah, this is a total 180 shift from the other Death Younger decks. Genkai's Guidance, and then we see a lot more 2-diff and 3-diff foundations here. Got the Invincible Body and the Keiko's Aid, always cool. 4xing Weapon Clash, Mastermind's Apprentice to try and help out the speed. Also give us a little bit of speed hate on defense. And then 2 copies of Prehensile Tail. If you get them into Deadlock, then you're going to give something 3 damage and throw. It's one of the best Deadlock enhances that we have access to as Younger. One of the best ways to punish them for not respecting Younger, forcing them to build. We do see the Settling Old Debts at a 4 of with Dangerous Combatants at a 2 of. Anytime you're running the combo Snack Time, Refreshing Slice, Frightening Calm, it makes sense to be running some Dangerous Combatant. It helps your low blocks and it gets you more ways to draw. We see Prideless Negotiations coming in here as a 2 mid, Breaker 1. Only 2 Botan's Coaching. A little fewer than the other Death Youngers. The Prehensile Tails put in work against due to the throws. Yeah, you're running the throws already. We got the Jawjammer and the Aura Slam, and now you're just running even more throws. I think going an entire attack lineup of throws is almost always a mistake because they're just too slow. And then when you run into somebody who has a lot of throw hate, it becomes very difficult. I understand it as younger because his damage pump increases so quickly that you're at like +5, +4 on turn 2 and 3. So it makes sense on younger, but I still think that youngers can just do it faster without playing the throws. But it does make sense to play some or release Jaw Jammer and then have this for future ones as well. Let's go to number 6. We are still in younger Toguro land. And here we are back to our normal attack lineup. Vital Seizing Mob Strike, Battle Lore release, 45% power. Only 1 copy of Trace Eyes, which is very interesting. And then 2 copies of Jaw Jammer. Over here we have the always cool Weapon Clash Keiko's Aid. I'm trying to find something. Sorry guys, after we've already seen 5 lists and almost all of them are on the death symbol, it becomes really hard to find something to talk about. The only thing I'm seeing here is Excited for Blood, which I suppose works well with Jaw Jammer since it's a throw and you can at least guarantee some sort of damage if you play it. And then get to draw, so it's helping out the draw even more. But yeah, that is Toby's super cool Death Younger list. Okay, number 7. Ricardo, we are almost out. We are almost out of all these younger lists. Oh my gosh. Same thing. What we got going on here though is 1x shape-shifting impalement. 7-speed echo, you know, younger's not adding speed. 7-speed echo, you can always sign up for that. We do have the 1 showdown in the Genkai's Guidance. We're seeing a little bit of choice there into which one people are running. On the 2 diffs, Ricardo is the only one running Learning to Harden. We can either destroy it with Weapon Clash or Immortal Shapeshifter to get the draw off. So it's even more draw. We can commit it for like +2 damage if somebody is reducing the damage of Twisting Azure Inferno. Then we can come in with Learning to Harden and bring it back to 7, destroy to draw, or it's just speed hate on defense. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen the other younger lists. Seems like the other younger lists have been prioritizing building early. Now we're still playing 4, 8, 12, 15 0 diffs. So we're still going to be getting a very consistent turn 1 build. This is something that really I guess I underestimated. In my Death Younger list, I'm only playing 5 0 diffs because they're just not that good. But then I got a comment on a video the other day saying, you're only running 5. I find it a lot better to run more. Why don't you run more? And I said, well, it's really only the difference of 1 check on your build turn. And then after your build turn, I'd much rather be building down foundations that actually do things. So, you know, if you build on a 3, on a 3, on a 3, on a 4, on a 5, versus on a 3, on a 3, on a 3, on a 3, on a 4, like if you, the last one, if you check a 3 on either of them, you fail. And then the one before, it's just a 1 check difference. And then you get much better foundations on stage. So I prefer playing less 0 diffs, but seeing that almost all of the Death Younger lists are running a very, very high count of 0 diffs is kind of causing me to somewhat reconsider my position here, because we do see them really prioritizing getting an easy build 4 or build 5 on turn 1. And maybe that's because all of the death lists that we've seen are running Twisting Azure Inferno, and it's just important to turn that on turn 2. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's causing me to rethink my position on that just a little bit. Snack time, Red Rice the coolest, settling old debts, learning the standards. Haven't seen many other death lists with learning the standards. I personally really like this inclusion here because we are face tanking a lot of things. And then that's going to force them to play something not an attack. Then we see the Desperate Struggles, which has been a very common inclusion here. All right, we did it. We did it. We talked about the top 7 youngers. Now we can jump into the first Byakko, Marvin Emery. If you don't know him, he does the YouTube channel Undefeated at Locals. Go check him out. He's already done a deck profile of this list, so anything I say here is not going to be nearly as good as what he said on his channel. We can see that he's a Byakko list that is really going for this like Falling Skies game plan. Everything is a high attack pretty much except for Dragon Strike, which Dragon Strike just makes a lot of sense in Byakko. You're going to get to flip two things and one of them selectively. We see a lot of that here. Like if they want to block Hammer Fist, then they're going to have to flip two things. Here you're flipping two things. Hammer Fist can also be like an alternate win condition. A lot of the Byakkos that made top cuts are on this Hammer Fist attack, where even though it's only a 0 high, if they don't have any face-up foundations, then they can't do anything about it. And it just says that it can get plus X speed, the attack's damage -5. So sometimes if you discard a momentum, you can get this thing up to like 10 speed or what have you. But this Falling Skies game plan, Marvin said that a lot of games ended on a Falling Skies throw. There's nothing really new there. Zero Gravity Rush is, I think, one of the best cards available to Byakko. You can get this thing up to like 20 damage, make it a 20 high for 20. Also, even if it's not this massive kill card, it's a great opener just to draw 2 cards. We are a 5-hander, and so playing a card out of our hand and then getting up to 6 cards is a huge deal. We need a lot of draw, so you also see the Battle Lore release coming in. Cat's Claw, because we have this kind of throw game plan between Berserker's Bite, Cat's Claw, and Falling Skies. Berserker Bite can also be really good defense when you're basically giving permanent breaker 1 after you block with it. 1 copy of Referee Jury, this can be used really selectively with Byakko, because once he gets to 30 cards in his discard pile, he can stack the Referee Jury, and then if he has any way to draw it, like Chivalrous Competitor here, then we get to pull the Referee Jury right into our hand. Or like Ultra Regen, if we know we're not blocking that attack, stack our deck with Referee Jury, eat the damage, flip Ultra Regen, draw the Referee Jury. You don't need many copies simply because Byakko can stack it on top. 3, Seizing the Advantage, because we're flipping our rival stage and we're really trying to get Overhead Hammerfist to be unblockable. And then everything that you would expect from a Byakko list. We got our Thunderous Roar, massive size dangerous hybrid, so that we can always get a 5 difficulty foundation on our stage very, very early. This one plays as a 2 diff, this one plays as a 3 diff. And then we're giving everything 5 damage, which is even better than like Nomu was doing. We are playing this like damage reduction game plan between Warm and Bubbly, Weapon Clash, and Toughest Punk, and Referee Jury. We just need to buy those extra turns. New training method to help out our builds and also to be able to pick up and draw foundations later in the game. Kirishima's Assistance. I'm trying to think of what the best thing to use this on would be. It might be because Faith Shield is one of the best cards against Younger in the format, and so if you're expecting a lot of people to run Faith Shield simply because it's very meta relevant, then Kirishima's Assistance makes sense. Oh, it also, he's running a lot of throws. Berserker Bite, Cat's Claw, Falling Skies. Okay. Yeah, Kirishima's Assistance makes a ton of sense here. So this is Marvin's list. Congratulations to him. He was the highest placing Byakko player, the only. You know, Marvin doesn't get to make his own character, doesn't get his wish, but he does get the benefit of being the only person to not play Younger and make top 8. He was the only one. All right, at number 9, we have my teammate Kyle on Byakko. If you know Kyle at all, you know that he loves Mineta 2. You know, he's... and Mineta 2 is still very, very relevant. I know Kyle has an updated list, but Kyle's been playing for a long time, and I know he liked Byakko in the past, and so when Byakko got reprinted, he's like, yes, I am playing this character again. Kyle, I think, might be the only Byakko player to actually be 4Xing Tiger Scream. A lot of the other Byakkos kind of went away from Tiger Scream and didn't feel like it was needed. But it is, I mean, this was a card that was banned in the former standard for a reason. It says that it gets to play as a 5 diff, And then you get to say mill 4, give it plus X damage, X equals total printed difficulty. We're playing all of these high difficulty foundations, so there's a pretty good chance that this is just getting like 15 damage. It's going to be a 20 damage thing. We get to selectively flip, so we're flipping 2 things on this attack with Byakko. That's going to help with, you'll see that like we're flipping 2 things with Tiger Scream. We're flipping 2 things with Dragon Strike. We are flipping a lot of things with Risho's Meteor. Kyle is not afraid of the 2 checks here. We have Risho's Meteor and Tiger Scream coming in. They're just such huge to the game plan. Flip a rival foundation. If it's not blocked, your rival flips 2 foundations. So forces the block out here on this attack. And now we're playing 12 attacks that are going to force our rival to flip 2 things. We are not playing the alternate win con of the Hammer Fist. We have Teamwork to destroy assets with Idun Box, Cape of No Return, these other assets being played pretty heavily. This makes sense. Cat's Claw as the throw. I'm a little surprised that we see Cat's Claw instead of Falling Skies, that we don't see Falling Skies in the list. But yeah, 8 2 checks, and typically when you play 8 2 checks, you have a lot of spam foundations to guarantee your build, but not here. We have a ton of 2 diff, 3 diff, 4 diff, 5 diff foundations, and really only 18 spam foundations in a 51 card. That's like a 35% ratio. So we are not playing scared of the 2 checks, and it paid off, right? Kyle got top 16. It paid off to not be afraid of the 2 checks. We have the damage reduction. We've got some incredible display. We have so many strong responses with incredible display to target. I've been running incredible display in my Chaos Muriel list, and it feels really, really good. You can cancel their alerting the standards, cancel their Genkai's guidance when it comes down, cancel their protecting Yukina when they try and block the throw and not take damage, cancel their Faith Shield. There's just a ton of things right now that cancel their Keiko's Aid. We saw every single younger list running 3 or 4 Keiko's Aid. You can cancel that with incredible display and say no thank you. So this makes a lot of sense. We got the Ultra Regen, the Hybrid, and the Massive Size. Most of the Byakkos are running 4x of both of these. And then the Sports Festival Champ is pretty cool. You know, like our person might try and your rival might try and reset your Tiger Scream back to printed, but Sports Festival Champ at a 3x here. Commit, discard a card. The damage of this non-throw attack cannot be reduced. I think this is also really cool with Zero Gravity Rush, since a lot of people will try and reduce the damage before you can also give it the speed, and you can force them to not. And it doesn't say that it can't be increased. So you can still use all of your enhances. That's what makes this card really, really great, is it's just saying it can't be reduced. You can still do everything that you want to increase the damage, but now your rival's not going to get to interact with it in a damage reduction way. And damage reduction is so big in the format that we see Sports Festival Champ in a top cut list. I don't think we've ever seen this card in a top cut list. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever seen it here. Number 7 Pro Hero is a foundation I really like in Byakko, because you can stack your deck for defense with whatever you need. You can stack it on offense. And so you always want to have a way, when you have a character that's stacking your deck, you always want to have a way that you're drawing that card. And so the number 7 Pro Hero, it doesn't flip to draw, it commits to draw. And so you're going to have a way basically all game to draw whatever you stacked on top as Byakko. Counters all those invincible bodies. Yeah, we also saw a ton of invincible bodies, a ton of referee juries. Yeah, I mean, that just makes sense. Like whenever I'm deck building, I just scroll past this card. So I always like it when we see a top cut list that takes one of these like hardly played cards and is like 3xing or 4xing it, and then you realize that there's a very good reason. Let's go to number 9 or number 10. We have Kyle on Elder Toguro. This was our only Elder to make top cuts. Anytime you look at an Elder list, they're going to have a lot of 1x attacks because Elder gets to pick up whatever he needs. Let's just look at the 1x attacks to consider why he would go pick them up. Surging Crystal Darts is, next to Vile Seizing, the best deadlock that we have. They went into deadlock. We have this huge discard pile. This is now 15 for 15. Villainous Teamwork makes sense to go and grab if they have any sort of asset to destroy. Shapeshifting Impalement, being an echo attack that we can always swap and make 7 damage. Dragon of the Darkness Flame for our like dunk attack whenever we need it. We don't want to run more than 1x. It's a 2-check. True 100% Unleashed. We can also go grab. You can do this on defense, right? No, it's a form. You cannot do it on defense, but you could always form and grab it whenever you're at less than 10 health, and then just hold it for defense and get this thing that says that I am going to pass my check no matter what. So those are the 1x's. And then we've got Risho's Meteor, Vile Seizing, Trigger, Double Fists, and Sword of the Darkness Flame. All of these make a lot of sense in Elder. The 2x Blue Flame Torment. We are playing 3 2-checks with Risho's Meteor and Dragon of the Darkness Flame. And that's where a card like Relaxed Demeanor comes in such handy. Because when you flip Relaxed Demeanor, you're not only putting whatever attack you need in the discard pile for Elder to go pick up, you are also getting rid of that 2-check in your deck, so that you're not going to check that 2-check later. So Elder is one of those characters that's very comfortable playing like a single copy of a 1-check. Like you could get away in Evil Elder with playing a Warp Gate Portal. It's a 1-check, but if you use Relaxed Demeanor, you put that 1-check in your discard pile, you never have to worry about it. You can always go and pick it up. And then you can even use the 1-check to go and grab your 2-check, for example. Now we're not doing Warp Gate Portal shenanigans in here. Oh, Elder lets you play it, not pick up. Okay, don't listen to me. Choose 1 attack and play it as your next form. Okay, I'm all over the place. You can tell that I am not a expert on Elder. I have played against him a number of times, but I have not played as him yet. But okay, he plays it. He does not pick it up. Let's see what else we got going up. We have a lot of ways to take their speed to 0, which is going to matter a lot when we can just swap it and make the damage 0. We have Defending Pageant Queen, Barrier Shield, both is just easy ways. Cooperation Offer for the -3 speed, and then every Elder is running 4x Unmatched Quickness. As soon as you're at 10 or less health, -1 or +1 speed on everything, especially when you have the option to swap it, becomes just so much better. Trusted Assistant, a flip selective commit is really strong. We don't have a lot of selective commits today, really. With Electric Jolt going away, it feels like the number of selective commits right now in the game has gone way, way down. So Trusted Assistant here, it's always online pretty much, and we can selectively commit anything we want. It's also just a 2-low block. Fruit of Our Labors is our deadlock threat on our stage here. Bench Press, we have all these attacks that are losing us health. Makes sense to give everything damage. An Immortal Shapeshifter to give everything damage. So a very neat Elder list. Elder lists are always hard to kind of look at and wrap your brain around because you're seeing all these 1x's. That's just something that the evil symbol is good at. You're going to see it with Elder, and then once King Ghidorah comes out, I've already got a King Ghidorah list. It's like 1,000,000 1x's because he can go and grab things. So let's go to number 11, our only Jin player, and he's on Life Jin. Now, I have been wanting to build Life Jin a lot. I have tried at least 10 times. I get about 15 minutes into building my list, and then I hate it, and then I delete it. And repeat, I've done that so many times. I've got a Void list and an Air list that I'm relatively comfortable with, but Life, I just could never make it work. I was either on like Life Punches, trying to do repeated 100%, or you're on like Life Command Pigeon Flock so that you can build in Macho Concealment. I was pretty convinced that any Life Jin list was going to be playing Command Pigeon Flock to build in the Macho Concealment. But here we see a Life Jin list that is not playing Command Pigeon Flock. And one of the main downsides of the Life symbol right now is you don't get a lot of attacks at the 4 difficulty level that are very good. But here we see Corey just saying, that's fine, you don't really need them. If you 3x a dual needle lunge, then that leaves your progressive. And then, typically you're playing very defensive. And so by the time you're actually playing your long attack string to take game, you've got a big enough stage to make it work. So we can go dual needle lunge basically immediately into rejuvenating smash. Rejuve is on a 5 instead of on a 6. We could go dual needle lunge into double tornado fist and echo our double tornado fist. We have deception dagger, selectively remove something, getting stun 2. We need another weapon attack to give something stun 2. So we're playing piercing needle as our other weapon. And if they ever go into deadlock, then this is going to be stun 3. If this is in momentum, we can give it another stun 2. And then you can just start off with like a stun 5. 3 copies of Wind Barrier, one of the best defensive pieces here. But what you can see is the Deception Dagger and the Piercing Needle are mid attacks. And you're adding on the Rejuve, that's a mid. Dual Needle Lunge doesn't matter, it's leaving your card pool. Double Tornado Fist, you're echoing it, and it's going to be face down, doesn't really matter. But the 2 copies of Focused Attack, Funny Punch is going mainstream. It's in a top cut deck list. On Jin, it's solving the damage problem. The way I was solving the damage problem in Life Gen was I was thinking Command Pigeon Flock, build in Urumeshi's Perseverance, form Urumeshi's Perseverance, discard Momentum, and go grab like Cannon Blast or Spirit Gun Final. But we're not seeing Command Pigeon Flock here. Instead, it's Focused Attack, coming in off the double combo from the mid attacks and making it 12 damage. It's going to be like a 8 speed for 12. Also incredible deadlock, so you can't really go into deadlock against this Jin list because between Piercing Needle and Focused Attack, he will absolutely crush you. Then we got the Dark Tournament Looms because Jin wants to draw cards, play a ton of defense. Dark Tournament Looms can go grab you selectively a block zone that you need from your momentum. So we have all these youngers that are forcing you to discard your high block with like Mop Strike and Botan's coaching. We can Dark Tournament Looms and go grab our high block. We can go grab our Piercing Needle. This 1 high. That's going to be a really big deal against younger decks. And we get to draw a card. Interdimensional Plants, also just more ways to draw here. The only attack that's really drawing is Rejuve. So we need to have the draw elsewhere. The other ways that we're drawing is Wild Wild Pussycats to get a foundation into our hand. We have a lot of foundations that we would love, like Syndicate Target or number 10 Pro Hero to block with. And then we can use Incredible Display, pick up those blocks right back to our hand. The other way we're getting to draw is New Training Method to grab a foundation into our hand. So when we have 7 different foundations grabbing foundations into our hand, we want to make sure those are good block zones. So it makes a lot of sense that we have this Syndicate Target and number 10 Pro Hero. Other than that, Jin needs damage. He's adding on all this speed, but he needs damage. So we've got Breaking the Cuffs for +3/+3. We have Neji Raychan to get the extra damage. We have Floating to get extra damage. And then just and number 7 Pro Hero also to draw. But then we get just a lot of speed hate. Between resting up, like this is always going to be commit for -3 speed. So we can use our character -2 speed, resting up -3 speed. Like speed and 2 fast friendship. Speed is never, ever, ever going to be an issue for this Jin list. And we have Wind Barrier for like -2 speed to everything. So speed is just not the issue. The issue for Jin is having cards in hand. And we're trying to solve that here. That is why we are 3xing Wild Wild, is just got to draw to be able to block and eventually pay off with this Focused Attack for game. Let's go to 12. I'll kind of speed it up. Here we're getting into Byakko land. At the beginning of these deck reviews, it was all about younger. Now we're just getting all about Byakko. Not a lot different here from like what I was seeing from Kyle and Marvin. This attack lineup reminds me mainly of Marvin's list. Berserker Bite, Falling Skies, the alternate Wind Con. I don't think Marvin was playing Risho's Meteor. So I think the main difference here is that Frank has swapped Cat's Claw Face Grab for Risho's Meteor. But between Dragon Strike, Risho's Meteor, and Double Overhead Fammerfest, a lot of things that are forcing our rival to flip too. We have a lot of these Byakos that are just like turboing the flipping the rival stage game plan, which is something I think is cool. You know, lost in this idea of younger ruining the format by just playing a million attacks that draw and giving free damage, which feels very, very MHA like, is that we're getting a lot of alternate strategies that are actually good. We had cards in the past that tried to flip your rival stage, but they just never really were that tuned. You know, like Bakugo 2 never did anything. But finally here, we're seeing a character that is actually playing Hammer Fist with a straight face. This is a card that just absolutely never saw competitive play before Byako came in. So the flipping the rival stage is a cool game plan to come in. All this damage reduction that we're seeing is a cool game plan. Like I like the alternate game plan that Yu Yu Hakusho is giving us. It's just kind of overshadowed by Younger doing the thing that we've always seen and playing a million cantrips with free damage. 4x Referee Jury, we're being very, very aggressive on this card. Again, we can also stack it and go and draw it when we need. Our main draw here is Fearsome Transformations and Flustered. Remember, we're playing 8 throws, so we'll probably have momentum, and then we don't have to discard a card. Flustered, Risho's Meteor is a charge. Battle Aura Release is a charge. Zero Grav is a charge. So lots of different ways to flip and draw. We're not seeing number 7 Pro Hero to like repeatable commit draw, but we are seeing these ways to flip and draw. And then the Dangerous Hybrid and the Massive Size. Thunderous Roar. Yeah, I mean, these 4, I feel like every Byako list has to play those 4. Let's go to TC number 13. Also one of my team members on the Let's Talk UVS competitive team. TC was a big Nomu player in the past. He got 2nd place in the Season 2 Webcam Regional, losing to Jose's Death Eraserhead list. He went 5-1 at the Last Chance Qualifier on Nomu, playing this really neat 6 difficulty tribal deck where he was playing like Stretching Slams and Zero Grav Rush, and he's playing like More Power. Went 5-1 at the LCQ, didn't make it into Worlds purely because of tiebreakers. He had one player that he played in like round 3, it won't drop names, but when he beat them, instead of just dropping from the event, they purposely took L's to everybody else in the future, which tanks their win percentage, which tanks TC's tiebreaker, which I thought, anyway. I don't think that's very cool for like the Last Chance Qualifier that you were so dependent on your rivals doing well. And so if you had a rival just purposely take L's the rest of the tournament, they could just tank you, you know, and you can't make it to tops. That was more an issue with the format, I guess, and as a whole, just the Last Chance Qualifier not having a top cuts. But TC just barely missed out on Worlds with the going 5-1 on this really cool Nomu list. So when the Yu Yu Hakusho characters came out and Nomu rotated, he immediately was drawn to Kuwabara, and Byako ended up kind of settling on Byako. And I think he's one of the like absolute smartest people in this game. Anytime you test against him, your brain grows. And he's always pointing out just really neat things. So here we see once again this like 6 diff tribal strategy here. We got the Titan Cliff to filter the hand, Zero Gravity Rush to draw 2 cards. The calorie counters are punishing your rival blocking, and you know if they block it, they have to flip a foundation. And then the Muscle Maulers to draw for more momentum, and it's a great deadlock enhance of flip another 2 rival foundations. So in deadlock, this is flipping 3 things instead of just 2 things. Anyway, probably our most unique Byako attack lineup here with all of these 6 difficulty attacks. Beast Summoning, this is our first Byako with Beast Summoning, where you can go and just keep replaying Beast Summoning. Very, very similar to like the Tetsu Thrashing decks that Tetsu gets to play. Hammer Fist, because we are playing calorie counter and all these ways to force our rival to flip extra things. And then Overhead Reversal. Instead of playing like Berserker Bites, we saw the other Byakko list playing. We're playing Overhead Reversal in here to go ahead and build the internship with Best Genist. A lot of TC's game plans are built around making a big stage very, very quickly and just not caring about deadlock and going headlong into deadlock. If you go into deadlock against this list, he has Muscle Mauler to flip 2 of your things, and Stretching Slam has Stun 4. A lot of people forget this attack has Stun 4 if you go into deadlock. And it says your next attack with a printed difficulty of 6 or greater gets -2 difficulty, and then you get to give it a ton of speed. We're playing 8 foundations here that are 5 diffs on face. We have all of these 6 difficulty attacks, so there's a good chance that this is going to get 5 speed. It's going to be like a 10 mid 10 and -2 difficulty to our next thing that we play. Other than that, we've got all of these 2 diffs, 3 diffs, 4 and 5 diffs. Like, TC is actually just saying screw spam foundations. I'm not interested. I only need to build 3 or 4 on my turn 1. Number 7 Pro Hero to be able to repeatably draw. We got the referee juries that we can stack. Seizing the advantage is going to help us get our build quicker. Weapon Clash we can flip and build a little quicker. And then, of course, we have this 4 foundations that all the Byakkos play: Thunderous Roar, Ultra Regen, Dangerous Hybrid, Massive Size. The foundation that TC is playing that none of the other Byakkos were on, that I think is like a must in Byakko, after testing against TC, it's just always putting in a ton of work, is Tutoring Kirishima. This card says after it enters your discard pile during the enhanced step, your rival flips 1 foundation. That's a big deal in Byakko when he gets to mill 3 on every single attack on offense and on defense. So this Tutoring Kirishima just gets to flip. In fact, there's some games where TC will stack Tutoring Kirishima. Like, on defense, he would stack Tutoring Kirishima, say mill 3 is Byakko. Oh, I milled Tutoring Kirishima, flip something. Like, he was using the stack instead of like grabbing referee jury or something just to force you to flip something. Or instead of like then purposely drawing it, force you to flip something. That's pretty cool. I think that this foundation probably should be seeing more play in the other Byakko lists. 3x learning standards, 3x bash strength. It makes sense. These are like your biggest disruption pieces on the earth symbol. So that's going to do it for this list. I think, this is a very, very different Byakko list than the others. We got this 6 difficulty tribal. We have hardly any spam foundations. We have this Tutoring Kirishima idea. A very, very unique list here. Let's go into 14, Scott. And Scott, right over the card that just jumps off the page here. We once again have Stretching Slam, but Scott is taking it 1 notch higher. We're saying we're not just playing 6 difficulty attacks, we are playing 7 difficulty attacks. We're going to put Looming Terror on top. And then we can always draw it with like Chivalrous Competitor, Fearsome Transformations. Where's our other draw? I guess that's it. But you got these 5 foundations to go and draw it right back, your Looming Terror back to your hand. If you go like Looming Terror, or if you go like Stretching Slam into Looming Terror, and then you get to pull a Looming Terror from your momentum to the top of your deck, do another Stretching Slam, Looming Terror. I mean, this kind of makes this a 5 diff instead of this 7 diff. We got Tiger Scream coming in here. Creeping Vine Eruption is something none of the other Byakko lists were playing. This is interesting. So if it deals less than 5, we're going to be able to go and pick up Faith Shield, which is one of the best cards against Younger right now. You block the Younger's first attack with Face Shield, you force them to flip it, and they can't build it down. And now they at least have to play on 1 progressive. You're at least making the Younger play honestly. Once again, we're seeing Tutoring Kirishima come in here. So this list is a little similar to TC's list in the sense that we've got lots of these 6 difficulty attacks with Tutoring Kirishima in the main board. We have the normal 4 here. We're leaning a little bit more into damage reduction with Toughest Punk in Junior High. The 3x Referee Jury to go and grab Dark Tournament Looms. We can grab an attack from our momentum into our hand. The main difference in like the 6 difficulty lineup is that instead of playing you know, the 6 difficulty attack that draws from your momentum and has that deadlock threat. Instead of playing that, we're playing Tiger Scream, which just allows us to selectively flip something of our rival and become 20 damage. When you combine Thunderous Roar with Tiger Scream, it gets really scary. Like the downside, like Tiger Scream can feel a little bit like Indiscriminate Shock, where it's like, hey, if you died to a 3-speed attack, that's kind of on you. You know, that's on you. You should have been able to block that. You should have kept a low block for Indiscriminate. Tiger Scream is not really like that. It's a 3-speed mid, but the Byakko is just going to commit the Thunderous Roar and give it 20 speed. You have to have a reset on stage if you want to be dealing with these 0 gravity rushes and these Tiger Screams. They just get way, way too big to handle without some sort of reset at the moment. Let's go to our next one. Number 15, we have 2 left. We're almost there, and we're back to younger. We are all done with our Byakkos. Andrew Porat, the only younger player on the evil symbol. So let's see what evil has going on. Piercing Needle, Vial Seizing, 45% power. That's not too different from the death symbol. But what evil symbol does get is you still get access to Trace Eyes, although Andrew's choosing not to play Trace Eyes. But you also get access to Double Fist of the Mortal Flame, another free echo attack, which Younger loves these free echoes. And then we get access to Reconstructed Wrecker. One of the main reasons to play Evil Younger is just to get Reconstructed Wrecker. We get to build down our first attack, play Wrecker, and then play our first attack again. So if they're in deadlock, Vial Seizing, Deadlock Enhance, Reconstructed Wrecker, play the Vial Seizing, another Deadlock Enhance. Double Fists, we use it. On turn 2, we use it to get momentum. We build it down. Reconstructed Wrecker will build our Double Fists. Now we will echo it for free, and we have the momentum to do that. So then, between Double Fists and Reconstructed Wrecker, we got to play 4 attacks on turn 2. Man, my dang. I don't think I can talk anymore today. Okay, but I'm on number 15. We're so close. We're so close, but I don't think I can talk anymore today. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think... Sometimes after I talk so much, I just can't talk anymore. So... yeah, dang it. Okay, well, my voice gave out on me, guys. I apologize. I'll finish number 15 and 16 on Thursday, or maybe even tomorrow morning if I'm feeling a little crazy and getting up at 5 in the morning tomorrow. Then I might just finish it out because I do want to get these deck list reviews out there pretty quickly. But apologies to Andrew and number 16, Barlow. I'll get to you next time. I'll see you guys later.